there was a widower who had two children, a boy and a girl. He lived alone for a long time and finally he decided to marry again. But he didn't choose wisely. His new wife was not a good woman. She was very bad with the children. She wanted to get rid of them somehow. One day she decided to send them away in the nearby forest to pick firewood. She hoped that they would get lost and would never find the way back home.
The brother and the sister went to the forest to collect firewood, and just like their stepmother thought, they got lost. They wandered all day but couldn't find the right path to take them home. When the night came, the children climbed on a tree and spent the night there. On the next morning, they continued to walk about the forest. They walked and walked. Finally, they reached a small water spring. The little boy was very thirsty and he said,
"Dear sister, may I have some water?"
"Don't, little brother. Don't you see the bear's footprints? A bear must have drunk from this spring. If you drink, you turn into a little bear."
The children walked on, but soon they reached another spring.
"I'm very thirsty, sister. I will have some water."
"Don't drink, dear brother. See the wolf's footprints by the water spring. If you drink from it, you'll turn into a little wolf."
The boy listened to his sister. He didn't drink any water and then continued to wander through the forest. But then they reached a third water spring. The brother said,
"I am dying for some water, sister. Just a few drops, please."
"Don't drink, my little brother. Don't you see the deer's footprints? A deer must have drunk from this water spring. If you drink, you'll turn into a deer."
But this time, the boy didn't listen. He kneeled down and drank some water. This very moment, he turned into a beautiful little deer.
"Oh, my dear brother, what did you do? I told you not to drink from the water. What should I do now?"
The sister and her dear brother were very confused what to do for a while, but then they continued to look for the right path to take them home. It became dark. They stopped by a tall tree under which there was a water spring. The girl stepped on the deer's horns and climbed on the tree to spend the night there. The dear brother stayed underneath the tree to guard her.
On the next morning, the brother went to find some grass for his breakfast and some food for his sister's breakfast. Somehow, the brother and the sister got used to living all alone in the deep forest, far away from any humans.
One day the prince went hunting to the same forest. He took his horses to the water spring under the tall tree, but the horse refused to drink from the water. The prince wondered what was wrong. He looked at the water and he saw there was a reflection of a beautiful girl. He looked up and he saw the girl hiding in the tree branches.
"Come down, pretty girl. My horse wouldn't drink any water if you stay up there. I shall take you to the palace."
But the girl didn't want to come down and leave her brother alone in the forest.
3 days in a row, the prince would come under the tree, and every time he tried to persuade the pretty girl to follow him. She wouldn't. Then he ordered his servants to cut the tree. The servants started cutting the tree, but it was huge and very difficult to cut down. It became dark, the servants were tired, and they lay under the tree to sleep. During the night, the dear boy came. He licked all the chopped wood and glued it back to the tree. When the sun came up, the tree was standing tall and strong again.
The prince's servants woke up and they gasped. They couldn't believe their eyes. The tree looked untouched. They took the ashes again and started to cut. They spent the whole day cutting the tree, but again they couldn't push it to the ground. In the evening, they went to sleep again, and the dear boy again woke all night to put the tree back together. In the morning, the servants were even more amazed than they were the previous day.
The servants went back to the palace and told the prince about the miraculous tree. An old woman overheard the story and she told the prince,
"I can make the girl come down the tree. I will bring her to the palace."
She took a pot, some bread, some flour, and a sieve. She pretended to be blind and went to the forest. There she found the tree easily. She made a fire and started sieving the flour to make some bread, but she deliberately turned the sieve upside down.
The girl watched the old woman from above. When she couldn't stand it anymore, she said,
"Not like this, old lady. Why are you holding the sieve the wrong way?"
I am blind, dear girl. I don't see anything. Why don't you come down to help me?
The girl decided to help the old lady and she came down the tree. The old woman held her by the arms and called the princess men who were hiding in the bushes. They caught the girl, put her in a big golden carriage and drove her to the princess' palace. The girl cried bitterly on the way to the palace and she kept turning her head back. Her dear brother was running after the carriage.
When they reached the palace, the prince came out to meet his bride and asked her,
Why are you crying, dear bride? Aren't you happy to be here with me?
Then the girl told him the whole sad story, how they got lost in the forest, how her brother drank water from the spellbound spring and turned into a deer.
The prince immediately ordered to his men to let the dear brother into the palace's gardens. On the next day he married the girl. In several years he became the king and she became his queen. The dear brother lived with them in the gardens of the palace. The three of them lived together happily ever after.